Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. As requested, I'm going to finish off the picture we started with the Derwent Pastel pencils. This is the page that we were doing from Sherri Baldy's Button and Bows Pocket Edition colouring book, and we'll just continue on with where we left off, as well as the request to finish this. Someone was actually asking me, what effect it had if they're quite a heavy-handed colourist. So we will find the answer to that question together today, and we will see. I think I'm just going to give her some blue eyes first before we do anything else. I'm going to put a bit of darker blue, the medium blue I've got, the cyan, up underneath the eyelid there, and then a little bit in the bottom, and I'm going to take my pale blue, my powder blue, and pop that up the sides. And I'll take my small blender, make sure there's not too much blue already on it, blow that excess away, and we'll just blend those eyes in. A little bit trickier in there because I haven't sharpened my pastels, and it's quite a small space, so pop those in, brush that excess away, and then I'm just going to take my eraser down the sides of there where I've melted the lines a little bit, so my eyes, the whites of the eyes stay nice and white, and I'll get rid of the blue over my black at the same time, and we'll just blend this back in again. There we go. Right, get rid of all the excess and the bits of rubber. You can always just use a little bit of white gel pen later to pop the little dots that you'll notice back in to highlight the eyes if you like. Like I said last time, I think we'll leave the skin challenge till last, and I think I'm going to do her ruffle. I think I might do her underskirt a darker blue and then the ruffle in the purple again. So I think we'll do that ruffle. We'll take the dark fuchsia, let's see, the dark fuchsia, the soft violet, and that Dioxyzine purple 280. We'll take that dark one, the Dioxyzine purple, and I'm going to rather heavy-handedly, kind of dark, pop that in the bottom of my ruffle. So I'm pressing quite hard on the page, which I wouldn't normally do, and I'm maybe putting a bit more in than I usually would. And I would say for anyone, if you're first starting out and you're not sure, I would put your one colour down first, blend that, and then maybe add your next layer. So let's really there we go. We've got a lot of dark purple going on there. I'd say the worst that's going to happen is you'll just run through your pencils a bit faster. I'm going to take this medium blender I have, just get rid of the bit of green I've got on it, and we're going to blend that in around. Obviously, because we've pressed on really nice and hard, there's going to be more pastel on the paper, and you're going to just need to blend it out a little bit. So more than anything, it's just going to cover a bit more surface than it perhaps would have done, and you will end up with a darker skirt. So if you know you're heavy-handed, maybe in that case I'd have gone in with more of a medium purple and maybe even left a darker colour out completely, and then popped a bit of a lighter colour across the top, so that you kind of, you know, you have to work out what your colouring styles are and then learn to work with them. You know, you will find over time that it's habit. When you colour a lot and it's a hobby that you love, you want to get better at it, you want to try different things, so you will find over time that you just start putting less pressure on. And of course, more budget pencils. We all start out, you know, my first set of pencils was about, not even sure, about £15 to £20, and you know, you hardly get any colour payoff, and you have to almost break your arm laying the colour down to get what you want from it. Whereas as you go along and you get different art supplies, you just don't need to put that kind of pressure on. So you just get used to it over time, and your habit will change and adapt. And obviously, because I'm rubbing this in quite firmly, it's wobbling my camera as well, so bear with me. Let's see. So we'll get all that pastel rubbed in. You do end up with a lot more excess on the page, so I'd be very careful sweeping it off, because can you see that? A lot more lightly to get smudging. Now, of course, it's not the end of the world, but if I'd have smudged into the blue, it would be hard work, so I would also brush it outwards from the picture so that you then can just rub that out. I'll be honest, as a heavy-handed colourist, you're not going to enjoy these as much, because it's just going to make it harder to work with and get the results that you want. But I would say that the pencil type really does lend itself to encouraging you pretty quickly to just release that pressure, and I do think that habit will disappear, because this is so dark. And to be honest, it's showing up much darker on camera because it is evening here. It's just a normal purple. I don't think I can get it. Obviously, what I film with just darkens the tones of things because there's no natural light here at the moment. This is a much just more normal purple. It looks quite black on there. I'm going to pop a little bit of a brighter, lighter purple above that. Just going to give it a different tone, and we're going to commit to the pretty opaque tulle underskirt that we're going to have, and I'm just going to blend that in along the top half. So yeah, there we go. Like I said, not as dark as it on that camera. It just looks like a black cloud. Whereas the reality of that, let me see if I can get it to just show you what it actually looks like. It's just a purple underskirt. So it looks a lot more normal than that is actually showing. Let's reset you. So yeah, not to worry. A lot worse on camera. So yeah, realistically, I think, yeah, look, can you see? It just smudges because there's just so much pastel on there now. We'll blow some of that away. I think realistically, if you're really heavy-handed and you know you do that with every kind of pencil you own, like even an oil pencil, you're not going to enjoy these, I don't think. But if you just really want to use them and you know you bear it in mind, and when you start you use them to kind of learn to reduce the pressure, I really don't think you'll find it difficult to just not lay down all that pastel. I think very quickly you're just going to start wanting to put less on, less pressure, less pastel. I think we'll use a very dark blue. We'll use that indigo to bring, so we're going to have quite a dark underskirt as well. But I'm not going to lay down anywhere near as much pastel as we just did. So I'm going to come in on my shadowed corners where I want it to show some colour. So just coming down and around. Technically the shadow would be on the other side of these hoops, but I want it to look slightly different, so I'm popping the colour not quite classically on the page, but in the place I want it to be. Bring that all the way around, and then again just clean my blender, and we're going to blend that blue in and around till it starts to fade out. Removing some of my excess so that there's not quite as much pastel as I work my way along. You see, this is why people end up with such different pages all the time, just because different colouring styles just lend to different, you know, my colouring style lends to a much more pastel kind of paler vibe, whereas yeah, just that little bit more pressure will give you a much darker, grungier, gothic kind of girl. And it just, neither's right or wrong, it really does just depend. I'm going to just focus that back in, there we go, on which one you want it to be. Going to take some of my powder blue and pop it on the other side. That's the pale blue, all the way along that left hand side edge. We're going to locate a clean corner of one of my blenders need to get myself some sanding paper out because I forgot. So we'll just clean that off and just blend that lighter blue back inwards. Oh, blow off some of that excess before I would still be being careful of brushing over that purple, to be honest, just in case. And there we go. So we'll go with that dark dioxazine purple, but only pop a little bit on the right hand side of these buttons, especially the little ones. And then I think we'll have a little bit of the magenta, the bright pink, just next to that purple. And I've got a paler pink here. Well, yeah, it's actually called pale pink. I'm going to pop that on this left hand side. On the bigger buttons, just leaving the middle empty. Clean my blender. And from the light to the dark, blend the pink to that purple. Clean my blender as I go, so I don't lose all the pink. There we go, missed one. Let's clean that blender off first. Right, we'll do these little buttons nice and carefully. And again, just push that excess off. Okay, shoe choice. I'm thinking pink. I think we'll go with pink. I'm gonna go with my bright magenta for the we're gonna have bright magenta on those soles. And then a bit on the toes and the heel. And then just I've got the coral this time. Just to about halfway, I think. And again, I'm going to take my big blender this time, again just because it's clean, not because you need a bigger blender. Just be careful not to catch that purple if you can. Yeah, I think the pink will do. Tone down that purple a little bit. Okay, Skinny Days. Let's see now. So I've got Flesh, Saffron. So Flesh is a pinkier tone, Saffron's a bit more yellow. I've got my pale pink, which is a bit pinker still. I think we'll do the Saffron, which is the more yellow tone, as I think I'm going to make that my undertone. It will look quite dark. But not to worry. Be careful to remember this is the white of her eyes, so we're sweeping along there and not into it. I'm going to take, let's see, where's my sepia? The sepia, which is a brown. Blow all that excess off. I'm going to pop a little bit on the back of this shoulder and the neck underneath the chin, and then the side of her face here, underneath the headband here, and to be honest, probably a little bit under the eyes there as well, and maybe a bit in here, and we'll go from there. So with a nice clean blender, start from the middle where it's pale, and you're not going to make any mistakes by dragging any other colours in. Last thing you need is an unwanted colour blended in to the skin you're trying to create, and then you have to start it all again. As we come towards the brown, I'm being a bit more careful. I'm stopping the circles and I'm blending side to side just to drag that brown along across the underneath the eye, and then continuing on around the edges of the face, being careful not to touch the lips. Again, down the side of this face here, I'm going to stick to the edge and blend that round where the brown is instead of the circles. I'm just dragging that up around the side of the face, and then I'm cleaning my blender off again, going back into this paler tone, being a bit careful because we know there's hair colour here as well, so you don't want to be dragging that into your page. Again, where the brown is here, just bringing it down, and I'm going to drag it a bit further than I popped it down and underneath the side of her face. You can even bring a little bit up and round above the eye there. And then I'm going to do this brown underneath the headband. I don't want to bring it out too far, but I am going to do the same again and drag that brown up above the eye there, almost giving a bit of the appearance of an eyelid, maybe a bit of eyeshadow. Just add a bit of darkness under where the nose would be. Okay, clean off my blender again, and we will blend out the skin down here. Nice and careful now, because we're very close to this purple, and this blue could get very messy very fast. Bring that brown up the side. And then just a bit of her neck there. She's looking a lot darker than her face, but that's fine for the moment. I'm alright with it. I'm going to take my very pale flesh colour. I'm just going to add a bit of that over the top and where the cheeks are. Blow a bit of that off. And again, clean my blender. Might have a smaller one actually. If we can get the blue off. No, we're not going to miss that. We'll stick with the big one. End up with a blue face at this rate. Just blending that pinker tone across the cheeks. And then going to take the pale, the pale pink, and I want to add some of that here, as strange as that is, underneath where your cheeks would be. And we're going to blend that in as well. I'm blending upwards this time, you don't want to drag that down. The pink needs to blend up. Right, this is where we've missed a bit of the brown here. We'll blend that in. And blend this in a bit better as well. Need my very small blender just to get this tiny bit of neck underneath here. And right, I think we will again take the saffron and add that along the bottom of the face there. Maybe the sides of the lips there. Trying to keep the middle quite pale and leave it alone, to be honest. But I also don't want her to look quite as muddy as she does. Blend that in. Okay, I think realistically we've got a bit too much brown underneath here, so I'm going to take a bit of that back and a bit of the saffron, and we will fix that mistake by basically lightening that up. And a little bit better. I think we'll add a tiny bit of pale pink on this shoulder here and blend that in because she's looking very yellow. Let's add a bit of pink. There we go. Told you I was bad at skin, didn't I? Wasn't joking. Right, so shall we do what Lucy does and add a little bit of magenta to the cheeks? Just a bit there. Oh, not for the faint-hearted. Clean my blender. I'm going to blend that out away from the face to the edges, rather than drag that inwards. Yeah, same again. I think I'm reaching the limit of this Create Space paper now, to be honest. Okay, let's brush that off. Okay, I will let Lucy off. That isn't quite as crazy as I thought it would be. So, that is my little lady. I'm just going to do what we said we would. I've got one of my pencil cases here with my castle arts in, and I'm just going to pick maybe a mid-tone brown so that we can add some curls to the top of that hair where we've kind of raised up where her actual hairline was drawn in. I'm going to take out of my castle arts, I'm going to go with raw umber 116. Kind of a mid-tone brown, and just very lightly add some flicks like were curls to make it match a little, because hers is a black line art. I'm going to bring that down into the black as well. And it just makes that look a bit more intentional with that colour. But I like the rounded shape of those arches much better than the flat look that she had. So I'm just bringing these little brown flicks in everywhere. And there we go. Okay, that is. Shall we see if we can actually, well, number one, not cover the lens for you, but number two, improve the light source that we have going on. I don't think I'm going to be able to for you, but there we go. In a more natural light, you can see that she does actually look a lot better. So yeah, I hope while we're in the dark and we head back to our camera that you've enjoyed the video and that it was useful. Like I say, as people had requested for me to finish the page, I thought I would do, and I hope it's answered the questions that you had about the pastels. But if there were any others, just leave them in the comments below, and I'm always happy to answer your questions, or if you have any requests for videos, I always get round to them. And thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.